Welcome home, Bitcoin truth seekers. It is Saturday, October 2nd, 5:35 a.m. We're finally rolling into October. It's not just October 1st, it is October 2nd. So, we can say it's kind of hard to say it's October when it's October 1st, but now it's October 7th, October 2nd. Yeah, soon to be 7th. And we'll be saying, yes, we're in October now. I like that. So Bitcoin Daily View got more for you there, except for the banner image, which seems to have disappeared. All right, looking at Coin 360 for the last hour. Yes, as you can see, you've got some green and red in the market, kind of more green than red. Alts are getting sparky. It's nice to see. We'll take a look at how the market's doing. So this is last hour. Seeing some nice green. Nice to see that Ethereum is in the green right now, but just barely. ADA is looking okay. Doge back in action. Algo's been doing quite well. XRP showing up. All right, so looking at the crypto market versus BTC last hour, it's not bad to see. I'm liking this. So definitely there's some alts making gains against Bitcoin. Okay, looking at the spot trading volume on Binance, 22 billion, down 13.4% last 24 hours. Volume is pretty darn crappy. Looking at derivatives, spot trading, basically, we want to see at least 70 billion. We're at 57 billion, and we're down 14.9% last 24 hours. So, looking at the little graph that they put here, it's a 7-day graph, but as you can see, boom, we're dumping as far as volume. So, not much volume. We want to see at least 30 billion for an okay day. 50, we start looking really sparky, but we're at 22 billion and we're down 14% last 24 hours. And that is, as you can see, kind of free falling here on the 7-day chart. So with that said, be careful. Volume just is not there. Bitcoin's making some nice price action. We're seeing alts making money, but still volume not where I really want to see it to support that. So Bitcoin trading volume explicitly on the big exchanges, 4 billion basically. So 3 billion means the market is on. 4 billion is not that impressive, but you can make some gains for sure, of course. And 5 billion is better. When you start getting above 5 billion, things really get kind of hot. And anyway, so we're going into this weekend with trailing off volume on Binance, and we're also seeing basically very little Bitcoin volume as far as trading volume. Now, this is retail, which makes me once again think that the upwards, it was kind of the same yesterday. And so, well, not exactly the same, but lower volume, low volume yesterday on spot and derivatives on Binance, and then also, low Bitcoin trading volume. I forget exactly how it compares to today. I don't think we were losing so much percent volume over the past 24 hours yesterday. So anyway, this is just not so hot. Hitting the weekend, it's great that Bitcoin is actually keeping sideways at the moment, and a lot of alts are keeping their gains, but still, watch out. There's just no retail trading volume that I can see looking at where I'm looking. So beware, whales, they give and they take away, especially when they're in charge and especially when the volume is low. I mean, I guess they're always in charge, but right now the volume is low, so they have even more control. Anyway, low volume, it can get dumpy. Looking at on an hourly chart here for liquidations last 24 hours, what's nice to see is really last couple hours, except since yesterday where we definitely had some volatility. We're not seeing any really big liquidations for longs nor shorts. That's kind of cool. I dig it. All right, looking at Bitcoin versus USDT on the daily. Of course, yesterday we broke above that 200 moving average. We're staying there. It looks good. We're in this little wedge pattern. We'll see how it really plays out. I do think that shapes and patterns, etc., head and shoulders, cup and handles, I note all that stuff, but just not very much. I tend to really myself just be somebody who looks at channels up and down, Fibonacci, and moving averages, shapes, sizes, squares, and whatever, wedges and descending things. It's all great, but unless they're pretty apparent like this one, I don't tend to really note them. So we'll see. Definitely Bitcoin is going to have to break out by, January. Anyway, we're in this wedge, but what I really care about is this. We are above the 200 moving average. We seem to have found good support there, and really important, daily MACD has turned positive. Histogram is widening. That is a wonderful, wonderful, badass thing to see. As we have had some, let's look at 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart, Bitcoin has been sideways. Of course, we just saw now a negative MACD turn on the 2-hour chart, so watch out. 2-hour chart, we might see a Bitcoin go below that 200 moving average again. So anyway, be careful. Now we're sideways, but very, very low volume. 2-hour MACD has turned negative, so be careful. Let's look at the 12-hour MACD. Still positive. All right. Anyway, with that said, let's keep on rocking here. Bitcoin versus USDT here on a 4-hour chart. As you can see, it's beautiful. This Fibonacci sequence here seems to really be very powerful. And like I've mentioned before, I think we could see whales accumulating. Well, they were accumulating, right here in this range. And now we see we've broken above the 236 fib as we see here, and we also have found support there. So it was a strong break. And what I like seeing is I always like when I see the 200 and 314 get broken in 1 or 2 candles, and that's what gets you your little blue merit badge there. So it did. It got above the 236 fib line, and it seems to be finding support there. Now, if we look a little bit closer at the 45-minute chart, this is the same fib setup. As you can see, we really are finding support on that 236 fib level, which is right at 47,371. These indicators are kind of nice. The KRI right now is doing a little bit of a tick up. I sort of like seeing that. Stochastic RSI definitely showing that we are oversold, time to buy. Wave trend oscillator by Lazy Bear, a very, very grumpy contrarian indicator, but darn accurate. The wave trend oscillator just the tangent just went positive, looking for a signal cross there. Directional index is green. Of course, it's been trending down. ADX is high, but it's trending down. So let's watch out. We might see, I do think that there's, looking at the chart in general, I would say there's a good likelihood that we are, if we zero in a little bit more too, right here to the price action, I think we might start seeing some upwards movement. I mean, we've gone into the weekend, not a lot of volume, that kind of worries me when I don't see that volume. I think that this pump up here could have been just, whales at play. One thing I like seeing is the 200 moving average, the white one, has crossed the 314, the blue one. That's very, very positive when the faster crosses above the slower. So in general, it looks like we might see some perkiness this morning. Let's really, really dive deep into the 15-minute chart and see how we're looking. You can see this glorious, glorious sideways action. 15-minute chart has a positive KRI. Stochastic RSI and wave trend oscillator are moving up. And directional index is in the green. ADX is going the wrong way. We'll see if that tangent turns up. In general, we are sideways. Let's see what happens. RSI cave, as you can see, is starting to close as it gets narrower, as it gets tighter. That's when you start looking for more of a breakout being likely. Well, with that said, let's see how it rolls. We're very sideways going into this weekend. Not much volume, but we are. I think we may have found support above this 236 fib line. You can see it much more clearly here on the 4-hour chart. Let's see if we hold above there. Myself, I have to admit, the Bitcoin hedging in that I have done recently with this nice price action, I did put a stop loss right here below the 236 fib line, because with the volatility, I'm just avoiding being in the red. I'd rather miss some possible gains than take losses, if that makes sense. It's still very volatile. If we had weak, I might wait a little bit. It's a tough one. I'm going to play it safe myself personally, and I'm stopped out right below 236 because I'm still in profit there. Ethereum versus USDT, pretty much doing exactly what Bitcoin is doing, and this chart does look like it's turning up even more so than Bitcoin. So I think there you go. Ethereum versus BTC. Something I like about this is whenever you get a burst above the 200 and the 314 moving average, you get this little blue merit badge there. Well, if you start collecting those, and then these little green diamonds down here, they're showing 200 moving average crosses positive. The red ones are negative. Whenever you get this kind of chatter right there, it's usually breakout time, and it's usually a positive breakout time, especially if you've been on a downtrend. Look at the 4-hour chart. As you can see, Ethereum versus BTC. Ethereum's kind of been getting its butt handed to it. And if we actually do a little fib sequence here, let's just do it right here where we had this pool right there. Bam. We're riding that 786 fib line. And with it is below the 200 moving average, of course, here on the 4-hour chart, but still, 786 fib line is definitely a respectable place to bounce, especially if you find this much support on it. You're bouncing along it, so definitely, let's look at these indicators. Directional index is moving more towards the positive now, not in the green yet. KRI is in the green. Stochastic RSI is moving up. 4-hour chart is very, very the rate trend oscillator I find to be very powerful there, and it's showing some positive upwards momentum in the sweet buy zone. So Ethereum versus BTC. I love getting in Ethereum versus BTC trades, and I just think they are a wonderful, wonderful thing. So it does look like there's that Ethereum is working it. I think especially if Bitcoin can stay sideways, if Bitcoin doesn't start dumping, if Bitcoin is healthy at all, even sideways, and staying above that 236 fib level, then I think we're definitely going to see Ethereum take off because it is really revving to do so. So I'm going to put in probably this morning, if I can. Well, no, I'm going to have my phone with me today, and if it looks right, I'll be kind of peeking at it. But I think that an Ethereum versus BTC trade is in my future. We'll see. It's just that it's weekend, and I'm a little worried about a dump because we do have this glorious gains that we've made. But just like we were trading down here at this time, and you look over here, these ranges, which I basically consider, I don't mind whales. I'm just saying they're whale manipulations. It's what they are. We definitely could just as easily, they could decide, let's push it back down now, and range here, or they could be kind of, nice and say, let's range here. So once I know which way it's going, I have a little bit more confidence, then I'll probably do it if things are looking good in ETH BTC trade. All right, with that said, I'll keep this moving. Don't want to keep it too long. VET versus USDT. Since we just started chatting, it's blasting off again. VET versus BTC. Chart's looking good, making gains. Boom. Kind of wish I'd gotten in before this little spurt happened, but it's pushing hard. It'll probably retrace some. VET versus USDT, making great gains recently. Chart looks good. That's a 45-minute chart. How about a 4-hour chart? How's that look? 4-hour chart just now pushing above the 200 moving average. If it can find support there, these indicators look really, really good. Although we might see some sideways before it continues up. I think it's going to be a struggle. If it can stay above the 200 moving average and hang out there and find support and start moving up, especially in the 4-hour chart, I'll be checking this 45-minute chart. VET USDT on fire. Might be a good buy. All right, with that said, of course, entertainment purposes only, never financial advice. Digibyte, not forgotten. USDT, Digibyte versus USDT, took the crap off recently and is mooning. Indicators look a little bit overextended right now, but it's not too far from the moving 8. Very well could see this thing keep going. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm not ready to do anything with it yet, but definitely it's a possible buy for me. One of the things that I like about it is Digibyte versus USDT is on Binance, of course, but many of us US users are having, well, we ain't using Binance no more because the man done come down on this. So basically you can get it on KuCoin, which is nice. American users can use that. And Bittrex, an exchange right out of Seattle, you can use that also. I'm not as familiar with the other, with OKX or Upbit, but this is approachable to many people who are on exchanges that Americans can still use legally. So I'm watching this. Like I say, a little bit overextended right now. May wait for a little bit of a retrace, but I got to watch this one closer. Let's look at a Digibyte here on the 4-hour chart. Let's get a little bit of perspective here. 4-hour chart, it's still well below the 200 moving average, but the indicators are looking pretty good. Overextended. It's at the top of the RSI cave here on the 4-hour chart. So anyway, not quite ready to do anything with this yet. I think it's at the top of its range that it's going to play right now. So after a retrace, let's see what this thing is doing, especially depending on what Bitcoin does. Digibyte versus USDT might be a badass trade. All right, Sol versus USDT recently this morning broke above that 200 moving average, appears to have found support there, and the indicators look mixed but good to me. So Sol versus USDT, nice to see it making a comeback after the recent ass hammering that it got. And also Sol versus USDT, if you look at it versus BTC, it might be a sat maker. LROD, LEGLD, powerful break above the 200 moving average after it flirted with it real hot and heavy, got worked up, and boom, had a green spurter all over the place. And these indicators look pretty good. A little overextended. It's above the moving 8. Probably going to retrace a little bit. Anyway, with that said, Doge versus USDT, it's so nice to see it finally break that 200 moving average on the 45-minute chart. It looks like it's going to range between the 382 and the 236 for a bit. I'm watching it to break above that. I'm not sure what, I don't really have a feel for this yet. But in general, the indicators do look pretty good. It's moving up. I think if it gets above this 236 fib, which is right around, actually exactly where the price action is, 2180, or 2181. This might start moving up again. It's in this. It's in the middle of the RSI cave. It certainly could. It's above the 200 moving average. Things are looking nice. Indicators are kind of showing a bit of a cool off, but now a turn up. Wave turn oscillator by Lazy Bear showing could be going up. Scar's eyes happy. KRI is about to click into the green. Directional index is still green, but it's been falling. ADX has been falling, but as you can see, the directional index is beginning to see a little bit of perkiness. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. So I know people are really into Doge versus USDT. 15-minute chart. Yep, showing upwards momentum, definitely possible. Let's look at a 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart. Maybe a little bit overextended. Anyway, say everything's a little strange today. You know, a lot of it really is because we're right here. I think that it's so often, you know, I say we're not seeing volume, and that concerns me for Bitcoin, and also, you know, spot trading and futures on Binance. That's the exchange I look at because it's the most, you know, most volume. I'm just kind of waiting to see what Bitcoin is going to do. And I think a lot of people are too, and that kind of affects the alts. They also definitely have made some run-ups, but really until we know we're going to find support above the 236 here on the 4-hour chart, which is basically around 47,371. And once we know, yes, we got support there, or we're moving sideways a while, maybe a gradual uptrend, or if we start working this range here, I just think people are not confident because pretty much, I mean, let's face it, y'all, Bitcoin is either going to do this, bonk. Actually, better yet, let me do this. Correct. Wait. Bitcoin's either going to do this weekend, where it goes. This is my opinion. This is just what I think. It's either going to do this, you know, over the next couple days. You know, it's going to play that range, you know, or, you know, we're going to go back down here where we were and start playing this range again. And I think really that's the thing, and why we see a lot of well, Bitcoin's sideways, so that's why we're seeing alts kind of sideways. But you're seeing this like there, you know, Elrod's topping off, Sol's topping off, DGB's kind of topping off, though it's kind of pushing though. Vet making a move. Let's see how far it goes. ETH BTC, another blue diamond. It's really wanting to play. ETH is not going to be held back by this nonsense, but as you can see, it's sideways too. So, you know, what is dominance for Bitcoin right now? Dominance 44%. So anyway, you know, it's really, if we were honest with ourselves, the dominance of Bitcoin is always 99%. You know, Doge versus USDT, once again, it topped off a little bit. Well, it kind of peaked. Now it's topping off. You know, I'm watching a lot of these alts. SHIB, one of my little favorites. As you can see, it pumped with Bitcoin, dumped. Now it's starting to get some sideways action. So really, these indicators actually look fairly good. I think we might see this moving up. I'd wait for the ADX to turn positive and get to about, you know, 20 or 23 before I hop back in. Looking at SHIB versus USDT on the 4-hour chart. Let's look at that. Yeah, it's above the 200 moving average. It actually bounced off the 314 with the recent volatility, and it's moving up. And anyway, indicators look, you know, good enough. I mean, the issue that we're running into, and the thing is, I mean, crap, if little SHIB if it just kind of like, you know, got perky this morning and took off just to, you know, I hate that stupid indicator. Oh, this is like the worst part of trading view is that dumbass thing. I hate it. wish I could just remove it. One forecast. Here we go. If we just got back to, you know, previous recent highs, that'd be 20% easy gains, and it could definitely get perky and do that. So anyway, with that said, I'm watching it. SHIB looks kind of sparky. I like seeing that because it's been getting its butt handed to it recently. Nice to see it getting out from under that 200 moving average on a 45-minute chart, and the 400. It's looking, in the 4-hour chart, it's looking dang great. Anyway, with that said, BitcoinDailyView.com has always got more for you there, even though the banner image seems to have disappeared. Always check out my little other podcast, Radiant Creators. We interviewed Tino von Struckman recently. We're got some interviews coming out, but this was really inspiring. If you happen to want some inspiration, also Gordon, this was an okay interview. Forget it. Gordon White was okay. It's definitely kind of inspiring about the current ritualistic compliance that we're seeing right now. There's some good points in that one. Anyway, with that said, everybody, remember, for every and Algo, 1 second. I'm sorry. You know, let me actually fire up Algo here. 1 sec. Algo has been making some serious waves. Algo versus USDT. What exchanges is that? Good. It's on KuCoin and Bittrex. I like that. We'll look at it on Binance because things tend to render best on Binance, I have noticed, as far as charts, probably because of the volume. Now check that out. We have indicators on Algo versus USDT perking up. They're looking good. I don't think it's going to go past its recent high, not until Bitcoin figures out what it wants to do, but it's above the 200 and the 314. It found a nice bounce off that 314. That's really, really good. Let's look at a 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, beautiful. It's above the 200 and 314. It just did a bounce off that 200 on the 4-hour chart. Indicators look strong there. Algo, not taking shit. Definitely a possible alt trade. Remember, for every Bitcoin Satoshi you own, piece of shit globalist banker cries. Take care.